All right, we're on to the next project on the Hollywood Hooker. So this project is probably going to take me a long time, but you're only going to see a little bit of it, and it's accidental because when I took this thing apart to clean it and paint everything, I did make a seat modification. I wanted my seat tilted back 1 inch, and by doing that, looking back now, almost a year ago, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to modify the rear firewall. But I forgot, so I was working on putting the firewall in, making a list of things that I want to get wrapped, go through all that, and when I went to put the seat in to just double check something, I'm like, the memory started turning, yep, gotta redo the firewall. So, with that being said, this is the original partition wall, aluminum. That was the piece that went inside there. The seat sitting over there, it's gotta go a lot farther back in order to clear how I want it. So I started thinking. I did build a titanium dash for this thing originally, which has been in it forever. And I do have more titanium. So why not build a titanium rear firewall to match the dash? Then if there's enough left over, the console, which is all aluminum that goes in here and is powder coated gold, but would look really cool if it was titanium, and it matched this in titanium. So we're gonna do some titanium work, and it's gonna take a really long time. It's really hard on tools, but it'll be worth it. Okay, over there we gotta cut some titanium. You don't want to breathe it, it really stinks. I vaguely remember telling myself I was not gonna make any more parts out of titanium because how fucking hard it is to make with the tools that I have. I don't freaking know. Got 4 more cuts to do. We just gotta keep trimming her down.
That way, where I kind of fuck all we go. That way, I got a book all that bad.
Okay. Well, we got our titanium all hand plased out, and all the bolts are in. Got everything drilled out. So now the plan is to picture frame all this in with titanium, and we have to leave airflow going in. So we're gonna build the same thing we had before, same concept, just different material, and it will look a little different. But the cool thing about titanium, this dash right here is titanium, and it's been in this rig for, I think we're going on 3 years or something like that. It doesn't rust, it doesn't change color. It just looks awesome. So it'd be cool to have the rear firewall the same look. We'll just give it a nice green, and it should last that way forever. So I'll do a bunch of cardboard templating, nothing exciting to show you guys, and then hopefully we can either bolt our picture frame in or we can weld it in. We have to be careful if we weld it in. Actually, I'm just gonna say right now, I probably won't weld it in because the firewall actually sits between the belt line of the chassis right here on both sides. So you have to flex that thing like a Spanish arc. And if it's all welded and rigid, it's not going to go in unless we made picture frames on the outside, and that's just a bunch of work, and we don't want to add any work than we're already adding to ourselves right now. So we'll get some cool picture frames figured out, get them bolted in, then we put the seat in, put the harnesses in, make sure it's all good, and then we'll be able to check this off the list here shortly. Okay, well, I'm going to start making out with some cardboard, and I don't mean like kissing it. We're going to start trimming out some cardboard and see what we can do to come up with a picture frame for this. It's gonna take a while. Obviously, it's titanium, so you don't want to just run in there like a superhero with your cape on. You want to give it a more methodical look and time and see what we can come up with. But I'm thinking if we fit cardboard at this angle, down and around, all the way down and around, then we can either do a stainless mesh or maybe cut something out on the Torchmate. I'm a little nervous cutting the titanium on the Torchmate in a mesh. And the reason being is the titanium warps really fast. This sheet does. And you'd have to cut like maybe a 3/16 or a 1/4 inch diamond of some kind. And you'd have to cut hundreds of them in order to get the airflow to go through. So probably not going to go that way. If it was like 080 aluminum and there was no risk of it like messing up the CAD or anything like the machine jogging or anything, if there's no risk on the material, I would do it, but the material is obviously expensive. So probably gonna do a stainless mesh back, but we'll get to that. Let's see if we can get cardboard built all the way around this thing, which is a good way to do this. Now, if you've been doing it a long time, you don't have to. Again, if this was just sheet metal or something I had an abundance of, I probably would just draw everything off of measurements, put it in the machine. I would cut it, trim it to fit, and not worry about it. But if you're off 1/8 of an inch on this, that piece is garbage. So let's do it all out of cardboard, tape it up, see how it looks. Then we'll move forward from there. We're making some headway, coming up with some ideas. So this is just a little template that I was using, pretty basic, right? Transferred over to the titanium. Now I could sit down over there in CAD, figure all that out, cut it over there, but it actually would take longer to do that. So I just traced it out, cut it by hand, and once I get one side, once we get the passenger side fully dialed, pretty much all the pieces made, I will just take it apart, put it on the other side, and make sure that they're all gonna work. Then we'll cut the other ones. Now the outside, these pieces that are gonna go from basically the firewall to the middle portion, we will cut on the CNC plasma. So I'll get this cut out and see if we can't get it clamped in there somewhere. And I think we got a pretty good plan, and this should go pretty quick. Now I mentioned I'm gonna cut this by hand. So we're gonna use just a handheld plasma, and it's just the Power Max 1000. Now I have cut this stuff with cutoff wheels and it just destroys them. So all I'm gonna do is use a straight edge. We're gonna go 1/4 inch in. Basically we'll measure to the edge and then we'll just use 1/4 inch on everything so that we go all the way around. And I'll cut on the inside of the radius line right here. And then I'll take a carbide and trim this all up. So this is what I mean by just cutting. I'm going to cut these inside lines by hand. So if you just go through, cut all your straights, get everything cut, then go back in and trim these. That piece will drop out of there and we can carbide it. Now I'm telling you guys, I'm going to tell you something. You don't have to have a CNC plasma. I've done this stuff by hand my whole life until I bought our plasma, and we bought it just because our production parts, I couldn't build enough of them fast enough by hand. But if you have just any kind of plasma, it can be a Harbor Freight plasma, it could be something off Amazon. But if you take your time in your layout, you take your time measuring, I guarantee you that you can make parts that look like they were made on a CNC. And who knows, you might make one that somebody sees on the internet that they want one, and then their buddy wants one, and before you know it, you'll be buying a CNC plasma because you got to make them. So don't be afraid to not push your limits when you might not have the tool you think you need. You just need to be creative and use the tools that you have. So I'll go in next. I'm going to get this trimmed out and get it carbided, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, let's take this thing over here. Before we go in and trim all this and spend, a good 30-40 minutes to make sure it's perfect, I want to make sure that the seat belt bracketry is not in our opening. This is a little tricky to do with one hand. So that's going to go in here like this. Somewhere in there. It's probably loud. And let me get my finger in there. Weaky. Yep, she clears. So we can go ahead and clean this up a little bit so we get the slag off of it so we're not cutting ourselves. Get it cleaned up and then start building our trim pieces to go around the outside. Well, guys, we got a game plan. So what I'm going to do is make a piece of titanium. It goes in here like this. It'll bend in. It's going to weld to this, bolt to the partition wall. So what I'll do now is I'm going to switch gears. I'll head over to the Torchmate, which I've already started drawing this piece out on the table. So what I'll do is I'm going to take all my math and all my numbers and all that stuff, put it in that machine or put it in that electronic computer, and then it's going to cut out of there. And the next time you see it, they're all going to be done like from this to interesting, just like that. So we need to take this guy over here. I won't bore you with cleaning it or bending it, but we'll get it cleaned, bent, and then we'll see if it's going to work. Okay. Super excited about this. Got the first piece tacked in, and the design, everything I think is going to flow. So now we just need to make all of the other pieces. So we got to take this piece here. It's going to go across, down, over. We'll do the mesh on the back side. So yeah, I just got to keep thrashing on it. That one piece right there, no bullshit, 2 hours and 10 minutes. From the time I cut it out of cardboard to went into CAD, got cut, cleaned, broke, TIG welded in 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm hoping the rest of the pieces will be about an hour each because they're a little different. That's another thing. I can't just take this one piece right here and expect it to fit here because this is going to be a little different. But we'll get it. We just got to keep plugging away on it, and then probably the next time my ugly ass face comes back on camera, you're going to see a whole rear partition wall on it just like that. All right, guys. So I'm cruising along on this tie firewall, and I'm just not happy with it. I'll be 100% honest. So I made a huge mistake when I made this piece that goes in here. If you look in there, you can see the gap in there. I was not thinking clearly, and I put this piece in. I've tried to save it. I took these used to be, you know, like this in there. That was all one unit, all one piece, and it's not going how I want it to go. So I'm just gonna start over. I'm not gonna start over with this piece, and I'm not starting over with this piece. All this down here is money. I think what I'm gonna do is very carefully try to get these pieces off and just go like this all the way up. I don't know. I get carried away with shit. I wanted it a certain look around the bolts and everything, and yeah, just it wasn't happening. So I got to come up with plan B, and that's what I'm going to start on right now. So hopefully plan B looks better than plan A, and we can weld it together. All right, plan B is working good. So I ended up just starting over completely. The one that was in here, I mentioned that I was going to save. It just wasn't worth saving. By the time I did everything I needed to do, it just wasn't worth it. So we have a new inner one over here. I have the inner one for there made. I was able to use this bottom trim, so I just need to duplicate that one for over there, and we'll start trimming this thing out. And with any luck, we can get this thing done super quick because we were watching King of the Hammonds the other night, and a Sawzall came out when Eric was here. So stay tuned for that too. Woo! I'm gonna call it good for this video. Here's the firewall. All the pieces are made, all tacked in. Now, on this particular part of the project, I need to pull this out now, put it on the fab table, clamp it down, and weld just a little bit at a time, clean up some stuff. There's like 4 nut certs I gotta do. But in the meantime, while I'm welding on that, I need to start addressing this situation. Right here?
Yeah. It's all got to go. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think we got some right here.
That's got to go too. It's got dirt on it.
Oh, we just hit a rock.
Oh. Let her rip.
I can't fucking believe we're doing. Are we really gonna do this?
Yeah, no time like the present. Start hammers prep.
Oh my fucking god! I can't believe I'm doing this. Are you guys sure?
Yes, yes.
Oh, it doesn't work. We're saved. You guys thought I was gonna cut it, didn't you? I can't believe we just did that. I hope you're not busy. Yeah, because Hammy comes up with these wonderful ideas. It actually kind of wasn't my idea. It was my idea, but Matt and Eric and Ezra that kind of talked me into it. So I'll go into detail in the next video of why we're doing that, what the reasoning for is, and also that firewall will be 100% done. You guys will be able to see it finished out, fully welded, and radiator back in, all that stuff on the back. And we'll be going on to floors after. That'll be like 3 videos down. We'll be doing floors. So appreciate you guys following along. We're definitely not professionals. We know enough to do it wrong, and try to prove that every day. Have a good day.